Well, the race is on and the gloves are off in the campaign for governor. Gary King's campaign is standing by controversial comments he made at a recent fundraiser. King made the remarks in front of Democrats in Valencia County, quoting prominent labor activist Dolores Huerta.
You can't go out there and just vote for somebody for governor because they have a Latino surname. She said you have to look at them and find out if they have a Latino heart. And we know that Susana Martinez does not have a Latino heart.
King's remark there that Martinez does not have a Latino heart appears targeted at Hispanic voters, 38% of whom voted for Susana Martinez in 2010. But political science professor Gabe Sanchez says those remarks could backfire.
A lot of folks might say, well, wait a minute, even if I agree with you in principle, are you necessarily the messenger that should be, calling out somebody's identity if you're not actually from that ethnic group?
I don't know what he meant by that. So I'm not going to call him a racist or anything. I just know what's in my heart.
Last night, Gary King's campaign doubled down, issuing this statement from the candidate saying, and I quote, "Governor Martinez does not share the same value system as most New Mexico Hispanic families do." The campaign also made it clear King was quoting someone else at the time. And Gary King also says he's returning some questionable campaign contributions. They're tied to a sex offender from Florida. King's campaign got more than $30,000 from an address in the U.S. Virgin Islands registered to Jeffrey Epstein. He was convicted of soliciting sex from girls as young as 14. In a statement yesterday, King said his staff missed the connection between the money and Epstein. This is not the first time Epstein has contributed to one of King's campaigns. In 2006, King gave back $15,000 when he ran for Attorney General. And if Gary King is thinking of an ad blitz leading up to the election, he is going to need more money, and a lot of it. Right now, the Martinez campaign has almost $4 million in the bank. King, just about $160,000. Well, no partisan politics allowed, but all veterans are invited to get more information about the VA healthcare system and disability claims today. The Department of Veterans Affairs is hosting 2 town hall meetings at the Veterans Memorial Park in Albuquerque on South Louisiana. From 11 to 1, the talk centers on the VA healthcare system. Then from 1 to 3, they're focusing on disability claims. Once again, all veterans are welcome. 5:03 now. As you might expect, more backlash after Bernalillo County Commissioners put 2 poll questions on the November ballot instead of 3 potentially law-changing issues. Republicans on both the County Commission and the Albuquerque City Council blasted Democrat commissioners for giving the okay for voters to weigh in on penalties for pot possession and a sales tax hike to pay for programs for the mentally ill. These are just opinion questions and have no effect on the law. The County Commission nixed putting 3 other proposals on the ballot that could have changed the rules, including bond money.
We could have gotten nearly $3 million in metropolitan redevelopment money to actually be invested in that part of town, invested on East Central, invested in working with private developers to redevelop part of the area, invested in remedying blight and in some of the problems that we have up there.
Democrat County Commissioner Debbie O'Malley here responded, saying marijuana and mental health problems are important issues. Voters in Santa Fe County will be able to weigh in on pot penalties. Yesterday, the Santa Fe County Commission voted unanimously to add the question to the ballot. This is an advisory question. Santa Fe City Councilors already decriminalized pot. They made the possession of small amounts of pot a civil infraction, punishable by a $25 fine and no jail time. This is all within the city limits. Now the commission will put the issue to voters throughout the county to see where they stand. In other news this morning, an ex-APD officer is on his way to prison for child porn. Nelson McGay was sentenced to 7.5 years yesterday. Federal investigators raided his home last November and found child porn, including videos of small children on his computer. McGay told investigators he started downloading child porn in 2005. He worked for APD for 5 years and resigned after, or actually right before, a day before he was arrested. Well, a wild police chase ends when a woman takes off from the cops and drives straight into a ditch. Albuquerque police say Ronald Martinez and Amanda Eller were shoplifting from the Walmart on Coors bypass. When he walked out of the store, police arrested Martinez, but they say Eller managed to get into an SUV, put it in reverse, and take off, nearly hitting an officer.
And at times, they walk into situations where people had just committed serious crimes, and unbeknownst to the officers, they stumble onto something not knowing, and situations quickly unravel.
The chase came to an abrupt and complete stop when Eller crashed the SUV in a ditch in Corrales. She is facing a whole lot of charges this morning. 5:06 tonight, President Obama is set to lay out his strategy to Americans on how to tackle ISIS militants in Iraq and Syria. CBS correspondent Mark Albert reports from Washington. The president believes ISIS is a high national security priority.
In a primetime speech from the White House tonight, President Obama will tell the nation his strategy for degrading and ultimately destroying ISIS. So far, the U.S. has carried out more than 150 airstrikes against ISIS targets in Iraq. The president may announce that air campaign will now expand into Syria, the terror group's stronghold. Republican Peter King thinks the president needs to have a comprehensive strategy.
That would involve, at the very least, all-out air attacks against ISIS, both Iraq and Syria.
On Tuesday, the president briefed top congressional leaders. Democrat Nancy Pelosi called the meeting a valuable opportunity for consultation. And Republican House Speaker John Boehner said he would support the president targeting ISIS leadership. President Obama told the leaders he has the authority to broaden the military campaign against ISIS without congressional approval. But some lawmakers here on Capitol Hill disagree.
I don't believe that the president has the authority to, quote, go on offense and wage an open-ended war on ISIL without congressional approval.
It would be to his advantage and all of our advantage for Congress to be, in effect, approving a plan for defeating ISIL.
Secretary of State John Kerry is in the Middle East today trying to build an international coalition to defeat ISIS. Mark Albert for CBS News, Washington.
In fact, Secretary of State Kerry landed in Baghdad just a few minutes ago. The president maintains the plan will not call for American forces on the ground. He is asking Congress to approve $500 million to train and arm Syrian rebels to fight ISIS. You can see his speech here on KRQE News 13 and 2 Casa. Again, that's tonight at 7.